Alright, today we're going over a push-up tutorial. So we're going to start off in the high plank, going over the basic kinetic checkpoints. We want your feet flexed. There at the ankles are flexed. We're going to have the knees locked out, engaging the quads, and then we're going to have the pelvis tucked, and we're going to have the belly button drawn in. We're going to have the wrist, elbow, and shoulders stacked over each other in a straight line. We want the hands to stay completely flat, feeling the pads of the knuckles into the ground, the fingers spread out. And we want the middle finger to turn out just slightly, externally rotated to about 11 and 1 o'clock if we're referencing a clock. And then make sure to have the head in alignment with the body. And next, before we ascend into the push-up, I want to make sure that the hands stay flat, the knuckles and the pads of the knuckles are staying flat into the ground. As we lower our chest on the ground, we feel the entire hand, and then we're going to press into the ground, pushing ourselves away from the floor. Notice that the hips don't dip before the chest and they don't dip below. For most people, because we might have been sticking our abdominal region towards the floor and letting our hips sag a bit, it might feel like you're sticking your butt up a bit. We want the elbow stacked over the wrist in alignment through the hip, shoulder, and head. Next, this is just a 48-inch elevated push-up. In case a floor push-up is too hard, the next few clips are just going to be progressions. As we get lower, the weight will get heavier. And here we have a 36-inch elevated push-up. We can refer to counters or tabletops if we're doing elevated push-ups like this at home. And here, this is 2 inches above the floor, so we have a 24-inch elevated push-up, which is the equivalent of 36% of my body weight. And this is actually a little bit below 12 inches, but I'm trying to go for a 1-foot elevated push-up. It's okay if you're not perfect with it. I just try to go for that for accuracy and knowing how much weight we're pushing relatively. And then one more look at the same push-up from earlier on the floor, making sure that my hands are flat. I got the stack good. I'm engaged throughout the whole kinetic chain. A floor push-up is approximately 64% of your body weight. At me, at 174 pounds, that is about 111.36 pounds of relative weight that I'm pushing when I do a floor push-up. So, how does this match up or compare to like my bench press? Well, first off, my body weight this morning was 174 pounds. So going from the top at a 48-inch elevation, that's the equivalent of 9% of my body weight, which is only about 15.66 pounds. It's like a medicine ball. At a 36-inch elevation, the equivalent of 20% of my body weight, now it's 34.8 pounds, more than doubled. At a 24-inch elevation, this equals 36% of my body weight, which is the equivalent for me, at my body weight, about 62.64 pounds, almost a standard Olympic barbell with 10s on each side. At a 12-inch elevation, at 55% of my specific body weight, it's 95.7 pounds equivalent. That's a standard Olympic bar with 25s on each side. On a floor, just a regular push-up, standard push-up, that's 64% of my body weight, which is the equivalent for my body weight of about 111.36 pounds. So almost a standard Olympic bar with 35s on each side. I just recently, 2 days ago, tested my 1 rep max unexpectedly. I think I had more in the tank, but we're going with 250 because that's what I got. So I kind of look at from the floor to 24 inches elevated, where that's some significant weight for me based on my 1 rep max. So at 24 inches above the floor, 36% of my specific body weight, 62 pounds is 25% of my 1 rep max on my bench. At 12-inch elevation, 95.7 pounds roughly is about 38% of my 1 rep max. And a floor push-up comes out to about 44% of my 1 rep max. Even though those numbers seem small, they have relevance and they have value. For example, if you want to train for endurance, this is a good range to operate in. 18 to 30 plus reps, for example, with push-ups is a great way to enhance endurance. So, for example, preseason, a 100 to 400 meter athlete wanting to improve their endurance, that's something that you would want to focus on probably once a week for your upper body days, at least for your upper body push days. 2 to 4 sets of 18 to 30 plus reps around this range of your 1 rep max. Figure out what these are with your push-ups, how high your hands have to be for that. If you wanted to target more for speed development, you want to operate with lighter weights and try to move the weight faster. So that would be an example of operating probably between here, 25 and 38%. So for me, that's a 12 to 24 inch push-up, trying to do a plyometric push-up and progress with that, trying to be able to push myself to a standing position from a lower push-up position. Ultimately, I find it more important to touch on form first. Start with the lighter weight. Learn how to get your wrists properly set. Touch on every single point along the chain from the ankle to the knee to the lumbo-pelvic hip complex in here, making sure that you have the pelvic tuck and a neutral spine, but especially learning what was very revolutionary for my push-ups was learning about hand placement, spreading the fingers, turning the hands out just a little bit, screwing the elbows. This is external rotation. We're going outside, but we also say screw your elbows in to your body, and packing your shoulder blades down, getting your lats involved, whether it's a push-up or a bench press. Learn how to use the lats more in both of those pressing movements. It's going to keep your shoulder safe, it's going to keep you healthy, and it's going to help you lift more weight. We often just are going to start tossing them to the side. We think we don't need them anymore. They're not beneficial, but they are beneficial for maintaining and gaining muscle and strength, as well as gaining endurance to allow you to get more working sets at these different weight ranges. So it can make you better at training. It can help you train longer and get more out of it. If you can get your hands on a weighted vest or resistance bands, that's a great way of allowing you to get more resistance out of it and improve your raw strength. But I think even before doing that, incorporating a slow eccentric motion on the way down, anywhere from 4 to 10 seconds, extremely slow, pausing for anywhere from 3 to 6 seconds, and then exploding up. Try to do a clapping push-up. Once you're able to do sets of 4 to 6 with just your pure body weight on the floor, you're ready for some weight.